Welcome back to Fast Market here on the Schwab Network. It's time for our cash tag segment. For that, let's bring in our next guest. That's going to be Landon Swan. He's a co-founder of LikeFolio. Welcome back to the show, Landon.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
All right, XYZ. It's rallied pretty significantly, about 68% off of those April lows, but starting to consolidate here. Landon, I've always had a problem with this company. Jack Dorsey, it seems like he's great at creating companies. But then, what's going on now? I mean, where's their growth rate? Is Cash App doing well? I mean, what kind of data do you have on this company? Because they want to get into crypto, right? But are they in crypto? I mean, where's the next leg up for this company, or where's the growth coming from?
Yeah, good questions. Let's dive into it. I mean, you're right. The stock's been kind of wild. It's sort of in the middle of its 1 year range. A year ago it was about $60, got up to almost 100. Sold off, like you said, down in April. Now we bounced back up to 75. It's been a wild ride. Even the last earnings report was wild. I mean, they missed, but they raised guidance, and then the next day it gapped higher and sold off quickly and ended lower. So I'm sure investors are frustrated and a little confused. So let's dive into it. When we look at XYZ, it's basically Square and Cash App, right? Those are the two things that make them tick. Cash App has been doing better on the last report. Buy now, pay later's been doing better. Their gross profit margins are up 14%. Their gross profit is up 14%. Their margins are up to a record of 22%. But what we're seeing is that they're just not executing as well as their competition, frankly. Yes, they are getting into Bitcoin. Sellers can now accept Bitcoin as payment. I think they've got a new mining product coming out. I'm not sure exactly what that is. But what they're trying to do is they're trying to be the payment provider and the peer-to-peer, right? The payment provider is the Square side, the peer-to-peer is Cash App. And when we look at the winners and losers of that space, they've got two entrants into that, because they've got one for payment, one for peer-to-peer. But of all those entrants in that space, they're the bottom two spots. They're not doing well. So Square is losing, according to our data, about 11% on a year-over-year basis, versus PayPal's losing 4%. And Shopify's killing it. They're, I think, plus 38%, doing much, much better. Shopify's taking over on the payment side of things. And then when you look at the peer-to-peer side, Cash App versus Venmo is just a ridiculous comparison. I mean, Cash App is dropping significantly. We've got them at negative 28, whereas Venmo's plus 18. So XYZ Block is on the wrong side of both of these. Even though they've made some headway into retail and restaurants. They've got new hardware out. They're being more aggressive in sales outreach on the payment side of things. But still, you can see here on the chart, Shopify is dominating the payment side of things, and PayPal is doing better than Square, but Shopify is really dominating. And then when it comes to peer-to-peer, Venmo is winning. And I think one of the reasons that Venmo is winning is because, at least right now, they've got the better demographic. Now, we can check back in later, but right now they've got the better demographic. So if you look at who's using Cash App, about 36% of their users are low income, whereas I misspoke. Of low income people in the US, 36% use Cash App. Of high income, only 18% use Cash App. So it's much more popular with the lower income. They also have a much younger demographic. So about 38% are in that Gen Z, so age 13 to 25, much younger. About half of that is in the Gen X, which is the older 42 to 57 who have more money. Obviously, you want clients who have more money. So, maybe 5, 10, 15 years from now, that strengthens for them. Their Gen Z grow up, get jobs, and have some money. But even if that's the case, that happens for everybody. And, Venmo is going to be those users who have more money now because they're older. They're going to even have even more. So, I think that they've got a bit of a demographic problem when it comes to, their offering. And just like you said, it's a little bit, I don't know if unfocused is the right word, but there's a lot going on, and you just want to see something. You want to see the company driving straight forward, right? And you want to see them have a clear goal. And I just, it's hard to see that as a potential investor. I'm not an investor, full disclosure. And you can see here, this is one of those charts that obviously is going to jump out at you. The blue line is basically the data on the company. The dotted line, the higher one, is the stock price. I mean, it doesn't need to take a lot of explanation, but when you have a interest level from consumers moving that low while the stock is recovering, it's concerning. I mean, I would not be investing in this company. They don't have earnings coming up tomorrow or anytime soon, but still, just over the next little while, I'd be very hesitant to invest. I want to see them take a direction and find a focus and execute on that. So they're trying a lot of things, and they're kind of in last place on all of those things. So maybe just consolidate, focus on something, and win that thing.
Landon, this company is uniquely frustrating to me because when they started, their commerce business was, I thought, revolutionary for small businesses. I thought they were doing great things. And then, like Tom alluded to, they seem to lose their focus. And you mentioned the relationship between Venmo and Cash App. Landon, I may be like targeting my demographic, but I don't know anyone that uses Cash App. If you're viewing this show right now and you use Cash App, tell us, because I don't know anyone. None of my children, no one that uses Cash App. They all use Venmo for everything. So, that being said, what is their game plan going forward? And Landon, other than this stock, we know that Venmo is a leader. It's a leader in our world, in my world. Who's the next one? Is there someone displacing them? Is it Shopify getting involved in this? Because Venmo is what, in my opinion, is saving PayPal, right? That's key. That's their highest profile thing. I don't know what Square is, and not to mention they were Square SQ, then they became Block SQ, then they became Block XYZ. Maybe that's part of the problem. Get a name and stick with it, Landon. And then, like I said, if they're competing, get in the game and compete with these firms.
Yeah, and I tell you what, I agree with you. I've got them all. I've got, Cash App, Venmo, Zelle, and I bet you I would guess 100 times the transactions on my Venmo account. When someone asks me to use Cash App, I'm shocked. I'm like, hold on, I think I still got that. I gotta go find it on my phone. It's in there somewhere. But yeah, it's wild. And I think what happened is, you're right. Venmo sort of saved PayPal, right? They were on their way to irrelevancy. And I think that this is just kind of rewinding a little bit. You think about how Square started, like you said, revolutionary. You got this little device, you plug it into an iPad, boom, you got a point of sale device. I mean, that is a really cool, sexy way to get a merchant signed on and you got a new client, right? That's awesome. Revolutionary. Then when they launched Cash App, I think that created a really big splash. They had those Friday giveaways, and our data on them, I remember, was crazy because everyone was talking about the free money, and it's this cool new thing, Venmo's for the old people, whatever. And Cash App was, I think, in their eyes, in Square's eyes, maybe Cash App was going to do for them what Venmo did for PayPal. But really, I think it's starting to become more of a distraction because it's lower income people, younger people who, yeah, you might have a lot of users, but you're not generating a lot off of that. Whereas being a point of sale for a merchant is huge. I mean, that's where the money is. So I think it's got them a little distracted, and they're not only that, but it's losing. Like Cash App is losing to Venmo. So maybe just switch back over and have Cash App running its own thing. That's fine, but really need to focus on signing up merchants and helping small businesses save money and do better transactions, do more transactions more quickly. So I think that's at the core of it. Tom, Kevin, you both touched on it. I think it's just too many pots on the stove and trying to do too many things without executing anything expertly. So they need to get back to something. I would recommend Square. That seems to be the one because all of our data says Cash App is just tremendously losing to Venmo.
Yeah, and they've got 57 million monthly active users on that platform, so it's not, they did have a decent quarter, but he said he's going to, affix himself to Bitcoin. That's why he changed the name to Block, right, to match up with blockchain. Is that the caveat? Because the valuation is low on this company right now, versus historicals, Landon. Is that a caveat that might actually help this company if they actually come out with some concrete plans? It just feels like they don't have any concrete plans.
Right. I think that, you guys know I'm a pretty much a Bitcoin maxi. I mean, I very much believe in it. I think it can be very good for companies to adopt and get ahead of it. I don't think that Bitcoin is going to have a huge impact on day-to-day transactions. I think of it more as gold, digital gold, store of wealth. We'll see with the Lightning Network, but really, I think that maybe if they can get their balance sheet on Bitcoin or do other things in that area, okay, it's kind of a nice thing. It's not revolutionary like it was. I mean, this isn't MicroStrategy's from 5 years ago. This is a lot of companies are doing things like this, so it's kind of a cool thing to talk about, but I don't know that it makes a huge difference to consumers or investors at this point. It probably would make more of a difference to investors than it does to consumers, and I think they got to focus on the consumer. And by consumer, I mean these merchants. They've got to go out and sign up more merchants. And I'm not saying throw away Cash App. They got a ton of users. Obviously, it's a good business. It's just that they're losing to Venmo, so they either need to figure out what that is and attract the older, more well-off customers that Venmo has and try to figure out how to get them over, or they need to put more attention on signing up small businesses and just execute Square like they should. So it's going to be an interesting one to see, but I would say right now at 75, they're overvalued.
All right, great breakdown for us. Appreciate it, Landon.
Thanks, guys.
All right, that's Landon Swan. He's a co-founder of LikeFolio. I like that. He's hitting every nail on the head.